What's up, you guys? My name is Aubrey and this is my channel, and today I want to talk about saving money and budgeting, but specifically in the context of low-income households, families, and individuals. Now, in today's video, I want to break down exactly how to go about creating a budget, following a budget, executing a budget, and saving money if you're somebody that is living on a low-income level. Whether you're an individual, a family, a household, whatever the case is, this video is for you if you're somebody who wants to learn how to budget and how to save money on a low income. So let's get started. Now, the reality of the situation in the world of budgeting and saving money that I think is far too often ignored is the fact that saving money is easy whenever you make a lot of money. This is something that is far too often not acknowledged, and it is 150 million% true. If you make a lot of money, you can save money. But if you barely make ends meet, if you barely make enough money to survive, it's going to be difficult to save money. And that isn't because of frivolous spending. It's not because you're being irresponsible with your money. It is simply because of the fact that the earnings to living expenses ratio is not large enough. And thus that creates an environment that prohibits you from saving money and budgeting effectively. So I really want to break down some of my key tips on how you can budget and how you can save money effectively, even if you're living on a low income. So with that, the first step in saving money as a low income person, family, household, or individual is making a budget. And the first step in making a budget is figuring out how much money you have coming in each and every month. Now, whether you are just you yourself, whether you have a family, whether you have a spouse, whether you're living with multiple people, whatever the case is, I want you to sit down with whoever is contributing to the household income. And I want you to tally up exactly how much money is coming in each and every week, each and every month. You should know exactly how much money you're making, whether it be from your salary job, whether it be from tips, whether it be from like contract work, whether it be from bonuses. Whatever the case is, you need to sit down and you need to figure out the exact number of how much money is coming in each and every month. So after you figure out how much money you have coming in every single month, the next step I want you to do is I want you to figure out how much money you're spending every single month. Now, this is a practice that I do every single month. At the end of each month, I go out and I tally how much money I spent the previous month, and this allows me to figure out where I can cut expenses going forward or where I may have spent too much money. Now, the reason why this practice is so incredibly important is because everybody spends more money than they think they're spending. I think that for the most part is true. Because whenever you're going out, you're running errands, I think it's really easy to justify a $1 coffee here or $4 Red Bull over here or a $5 Amazon purchase. But the fact is that these purchases compound on top of one another to create a large expense. And I think that everybody does this regardless of their income level. I know that I do it all the time. But keeping track of my monthly expenses and going out and tallying how much money I'm spending, this is a great way for me to keep myself accountable. Now, if you're at the beginning of your budgeting journey, chances are you haven't ever done this before. So what I would encourage you to do is I would encourage you to sit down at a computer, and you can use services like mint.com, which help you do this really effectively. You can also just manually go through all of your bank or all of your credit card statements as well. But I would encourage you to take a few hours and to sit down and figure out, where are you spending your money, and to then put that in a spreadsheet and categorize those items based off of your spending habits. So I'll give you guys an example that I use in my personal life, and this is actually the exact spreadsheet that I use. The numbers are example numbers, but the actual columns and the categories is the exact practice that I do each and every month. So at the end of each month, so for example, we're at the beginning of December as I'm recording this. So this weekend, I will sit down and I'll do all of these categories for the month of November. So to give you an example of this, so here is a very similar spreadsheet to what I use in my personal life. So I will have a spreadsheet very similar to this. At the top, I will have different pages, one page for each month out of the year. So you can see here January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and so on. And then on this one page, I will have different categories of where I spend my money. So I have dogs, so I will do a category for my dogs. I'll do a categories for food at home, so like groceries and things like that. A category for fitness. If you have a hobby that you really love and you dedicate money and income to that hobby, then it could be whatever your hobby is. And in my case, that's fitness, that's running, it's triathlon. So I have a category dedicating how much money I spend on that hobby. Entertainment, so things like Apple Music, like Spotify, Apple TV, Netflix, things like that. Business expenses. So this is stuff that I bought maybe for the business, but not under the LLC for whatever reason. So just miscellaneous purchases here or there. You have out to eat, so food at restaurants, you have gas costs, you have miscellaneous bills, your housing cost. Miscellaneous, I encourage you to have a miscellaneous category, because if you have a miscellaneous category, that typically is the number one category where you can cut out and then end up saving money in the process. And then you also have, you know, for me, I have a health cost. So things like a therapist, or if I go to the doctor, things like that. The categories that you have is irrelevant. It's going to be very customizable to you. What categories I have is going to be different than what you have. But what's important is really figuring out, okay, where is each dollar going and how much am I spending on these different things? So then once I have everything into their appropriate categories, I will then transfer everything into kind of a master sheet where I can see everything at a glance, and that I can easily figure out how much I'm spending or how much I'm saving at the end of each month. Now, for me, you know, it would just be all of the different categories going into the spreadsheet here, and then I would put my income level here, how much I spent in total. So what are all of these numbers here combined? What does that total out to? And then, of course, the amount that you made minus the amount that you spent equals the amount that you saved. Then at the bottom, I also have the category of how much is in my investment portfolio and how much is my savings account. So that's the way that I do it. And I mean, this again is a very close example to what I actually use, the exact spreadsheet that I use. And I have found it to be extremely, extremely effective. So once you have gone through and you figured out how much money you have coming in each and every month, and you've gone through and you figured out how much you're spending each and every month, then the next step is really the most important aspect of this entire exercise. And that is figuring out where you can cut your expenses. Now, going through this exercise of figuring out where you can cut your expenses and where you can decrease spending, you're really going to come to one of two conclusions. The first conclusion that you may come to is that you are spending too much money on frivolous expenses. And this is the easier of the two conclusions to come to. If this is the conclusion you come to, then that just means you need to cut your spending. It means that you are spending too much money on one of these categories that we discussed. Maybe you're spending too much on groceries, and you can lower your grocery bill by going less frequently, by throwing away less food, by buying generic products, or simply buying products in bulk. Maybe you have a car payment that's too expensive, and maybe selling that car and buying a cash car would be a better alternative. I mean, the options that you could go down with this conclusion are truly endless, and it really is just figuring out where you are spending your money and where you can cut back on these frivolous expenses. And there are a variety of different ways that you can go about doing it. The second conclusion that you could come to is that you, in fact, are not actually spending too much money at all, that you are spending money exactly where it needs to be spent. You are already at that bare bone expenses and spending habit level, but you still are not able to save money, or you're still not able to make ends meet. And this means that you simply have an income level problem, that you are simply not making enough money to live off of in your current living situation. And the solution to that problem is to, you know, go out and find another income stream. And you could do this in a variety of different ways. And this is what we talk about on this channel. This is the bread and butter of this YouTube channel, how to make money in the gig economy. I mean, you can go out and get a side hustle, you could get a gig job, you can become a freelancer. The variety of different methods that you could choose from are really, truly endless. And I will link a playlist at the end of this one giving you a variety of different ideas to turn to. But if you are somebody who finds yourself in this situation where it's not a spending problem, it's in fact an income problem, then your solution is to go out and get a side hustle and maybe try to figure out a way to bring in more income each and every month. That way you are able to not only make ends meet, but potentially save money at the same time. Now, the fact is that saving money, regardless of your income level, whether you are in a high, medium, or low income bracket, saving money really comes down to two things. Either you need to spend less money or you need to make more money. And depending on what your financial situation is, it will dictate which one of these solutions is the solution for you. But the fact is that figuring out how much money you have coming in each month, figuring out how much money you're spending each month, and then figuring out how to budget that money going forward, that is the root solution to any financial problem, whether you're spending too much or making too little. So if you take the steps that I've outlined in this video, if you sit down, figure out how much money you have coming in each and every month, if you figure out how much money you're spending each and every month, and if you figure out where you can cut expenses or you can add money, this will solve your financial problems. And if you stay disciplined, if you stay with this practice month in and month out for an extended period of time, I can almost guarantee you that you will see a better financial situation for yourself. It might take time, but you will get there. This is the kind of root base level fundamentals to financial success, is figuring out how to manage your money, keeping track of where you're spending it, and of course, increasing how it's coming in. But with that being said, you guys, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add to this process, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.